These brave souls are crossing a big-ass glacier, knowing very well that each step they take could be their last. But still they push on because they're on a mission to shoot an ice cave. And they will die trying. Well, it might not have been that dramatic. It was a 2-minute walk from the car. The car drove up on the glacier, and we had a well-trained glacier guide with us, so we were basically fine. I just needed to get your fucking attention. I'm gonna give you a few tips now on how to get to an ice cave and how to shoot it, how I shoot it. And don't worry, it's completely safe. If you hire a glacier guide, you respect the glacier, and you don't behave like a complete moron. Key factors. Ice caves have become, well, one of the most popular things to shoot in winter tours, winter photography tours in Iceland. Of course, after Northern Lights. And it is for a reason. They are truly amazing. It's an amazing place to visit. It's an amazing place to shoot. An ice cave is usually underneath a glacier. It forms usually with a river flowing underneath the glacier. And when the river is flowing and the ice is melting, it creates a tunnel for the river, for the water. And when it starts to freeze, the water slowly goes away, freezes, and we're left with this tunnel or ice cave. And while it stays cold enough, they are safe to enter, most of them, not all of them. And we do need an expert to tell us which caves are safe and which are not. And when the winter is over, the glacier starts to melt again, the river starts flowing again, and usually most or all of the ice cave will collapse and the river will make a new one. There is no guarantees that next year you will have the same ice caves you had this year, but it is an educated guess where they are, if you know where the rivers are. Glaciers are a wonderful phenomenon. They are beautiful, they are photogenic, they are dramatic, they are just so cool. But make no mistake about it, if you don't respect the glacier and take every safety precaution you can, he might kill you, and he will give you no warning. And yes, Glacier, is a man. I will not give you an exact location on Google Maps where those ice caves are, because, well, two main reasons. First of all, like I said, there is no guarantee that there will be the same ice cave when you come here and try to find them. And second, I want you to take a glacier guide. You should not do it alone. You need an expert to take you there. And most of those caves are in Southeast Iceland, around the Glacier Lagoon. And so in Skaftafell, there are a few companies that can take you. From Glacier Lagoon, there are a few companies. My personal favorite are Glacier Adventure. Link is in the description. Why? It's just like they're very professional, they are very good in what they do. They give no discount on safety, and that's key for me. I want my clients to be safe when I take them to those caves. And I like to know that even if something happens, my guides are able to take care of business. I also feel when I take them, I do get a little more than I was promised, which is kind of a nice feeling. Now, there is a price tag on taking a guide to an ice cave. It's not very high, but some people want to save the money and try to do it on their own. And my question to you, if you're that guy, my question to you, what's the price tag on your life or your family's life if that's what you're taking with you to the ice cave, because it's that serious. And no, Glacier Adventure, they give me nothing for this mention. It's just free advice. I've been doing this for a long time and I do like their services, so I'm okay with recommending them. Some of those caves are very easy to get to, very touristic, which means that there will be a lot of people. Difficult to shoot, but not impossible. Other caves are a little more challenging. That will mean that there are fewer people, maybe just our group. You never know, but at least fewer. When I say challenging, how challenging am I talking about? It really depends just on your physical fitness. If it's decent, if your physical fitness is decent, you should be able to do all those tourist caves that they offer. It might be like an hour walk on a glacier. And it is just, well, it depends on the conditions any given day, how difficult it is. For example, if there is like a snow on the surface, it's easier. It's easier to walk on the snow than the bare ice. If there's bare ice, it could be a little more challenging, especially if it's raining and it's very wet and the ice is very hard. It's more challenging. And of course, if you never walked on crampons, that's something new. That's nothing. It's not complicated. It just, like everything else, you have to get used to it. All glacier guides, they provide you with helmets, crampons, harnesses, ice axes if you need them, all essential equipment. And this equipment you cannot do without. You cannot go on a glacier and not have this. You never know when you're on a glacier what you might see. There are a lot of weird shit going on there. And the other day we went there, they were actually shooting Frozen, the movie. And there was Elsa doing a photo shoot on the glacier. But when the production people saw me, they just fired that little brat. And I'm the new Elsa.
Cool. All right. Now you're right in the center. Okay. What I'm gonna need you to do is arch your back. This is gonna be silhouette. So shoulders back. Yeah. All the way back. Shoulders back. Boobs out. Okay. Butt out. And this little part right here, you have to make sure to pull those shoulder blades together. Yeah. Okay. See this arm right here? I'm not gonna be able to see your unless you go back on the arms. But relax. Behind your butt. Yeah. Oh, grabbing it. You got it. I love it. That's amazing. You are killing this. And now what I want you to do is take that dress and I want you to fling it up. Yes. Oh. One more time, just like that. More attitude. Ready, go. No, not faster attitude. Just more attitude. There's a difference. You got it. Good. I need more dress. Show a little more leg. It's okay. Yes, sir. Oh. My gosh, now can you spin once for me, but not too fast. I need you to spin slowly and let your hair clean as you go. Pick up your dress and spin it when you turn towards me. As you come towards me, just turn away from me and then you spin towards me and spin. Yeah. You go the opposite way. Yep, and you're going to swing the dress. Look at me. Like this. Like out. Yes. Yes, do it one more time, just like that. Just step back and dress and stare me down. They're jealous.
But to make a long story short, they haven't called again, and so I'm still holding on to my day job, at least for now. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel, well, at least if you like the content, and hit the little notification bell so you will get notified every time I upload. So to shoot an ice cave, you will need a couple of things. You will need a tripod. It's not like pitch black in those caves. It's nothing like that. It's just a little darker than outside. And to get a proper exposure, not too high ISO, you will need a tripod. And also you do usually need to bracket your shot. So tripod is essential. Unless you're asbestos, the superhero. Asbestos, half man, half asbestos. He is very stable with the camera, like a tripod. This made no sense. Wide angle lens is key. My go-to lens in an ice cave is my 16-35, but it's also a good idea to take a lens for the details because there's a lot of details in the ice. And if you only bring your wide angle lens, you have very few shots. You have a shot this way, that way, a little more details, but you're out of shot real fast. So bring detail lens also. I do get asked what settings should I use when I'm shooting in an ice cave, and it's impossible to give like a collective answer, one answer that serves all, because of these different conditions, and if you're shooting wide and if you're shooting tight, and it's but something to start with could be this. If I have some distance from my focal point, something like this, f8 to 11 should be enough. Even 16, f16. ISO as low as possible, and then you just adjust the time until you're correctly exposed. The reason I say ISO as low as possible and not as low as your camera can handle, sometimes there are people in the cave, so you will have to wait, you will have to frame your shot, and you have to wait until your frame clears. If it clears, you might not have minutes. You might only have a few seconds. So shooting everything at f16 at ISO 100 in a relatively dark space could take a while. Because sometimes you just need to be fast. And don't be overly concerned about keeping your ISO, your camera's ISO every single time at 100 or the lowest possible, because because you don't have to. Like this, if you need to shorter time, just crank it up, it's fine. 10 years ago, it wasn't fine. 10 years ago, if you shot at ISO 400, it's gonna be noisy as fuck. But now, the cameras, they are so, if you have a relatively new camera, it's very light sensitive, and the ISO and the noise handle is good. It really doesn't matter what brand you have. So use it. You paid good money for this. In an ice cave, there's a lot of dynamic range, meaning the shadows are very dark and the highlights can be very bright, especially if there's snow inside the ice cave or you're shooting outside the ice cave into a glacier, into a snow. Very big dynamic range, and your camera probably won't be able to handle that. Yes, also the new Sony fancy camera stuff. It's just too much for any camera. So I would just exposure bracket everything you shoot in the ice cave. At least watch the histogram and check. And I have a saying, it's a very good one, so listen. When in doubt, bracket. It's like the 11th commandment or something. It's just, it's super good info. I'm not gonna explain bracketing in details. There's a video in the corner where I do explain HDR shooting and exposure bracketing and stuff like that. If you're interested, check it out. The thing is, I see a lot of photographers now, they are intentionally blowing out the sky or whatever. They are just intentionally blowing out the highlights for a certain look. And to be fair, it's cool. Some of it, at least, it's very cool. But my advice would always get your exposure right when you're shooting. Get all the info, get a good histogram. And if that means you need to either bracket or use a filter, do it. And then if you want the blown out look, blown out high, do that in post. Because then you have option. If you blow it out in camera, you have no option later if you want, I might want to, do this. Expose correctly in camera and do your effects in post. In this photo, I'm very close to the ice cave wall. So close that I do need to focus stack. If you don't know what focus stacking is or don't know how to do it, I have a video about focus stacking here in the corner. Check it out. But as you know, with focus stacking, my goal is to get everything sharp from the camera to infinity, even if the camera is really, really close to the foreground. As I mentioned, there's sometimes a lot of people in the cave, in the ice cave, and everybody is in your frame. It's frustrating, but trust me, you can always get your frame. My advice, spend a little time first. You are not gonna get as many shots as you might get with an empty cave, so you kind of have to pick and choose. And usually there's not a lot of great frames, so my advice, look for them, find them. Spend a few minutes first in looking for your frames. Don't think, take your phone, frame it with your phone. It's faster than always picking up the camera. And once you found your frame, set up, do a test shot, make sure everything is correctly exposed, and wait for the frame to clear. It usually does. If it doesn't, you just have to stamp out somebody. It's how we do it. It's usually never we have the cave for ourselves. So don't spend time being frustrated and irritated about other people. They have as much right to be there as you, even if you have a big ass tripod and a fancy camera. Like when I took this shot, there was a whole bus of people in my frame, and every time I felt like the frame was clearing, more people came in, and it was just, there were probably about 200 people in the cave and in front of the cave total waiting to get in. So it was a circus. I sat up, I took a few shots, I picked the best ones out and just selected the stamp tune in Photoshop, and I just went to town. I think that's what you say when you just, just do it and a lot and whatever. So there's no reason to be pissed off about other people. There's always a workaround. There's always a way to get your frame. I talked mostly about how to shoot it if you're shooting wide angle. If you're shooting details, it's simpler. It's just, you have enough time. There's nobody getting in your frame. Just put your aperture at f8 or something, because you really don't need no depth of field. If you're really close and shooting straight head on to the ice, f8 should be fine, or 11, or whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Put your ISO to 100, make it as free of noise as possible, and then just adjust the speed as you need. So now you can shoot details, you can shoot white. What do you do if the conditions are different, completely different? If the sun is shining into the cave and you have very strong, there's a lot of conditions that could happen. But if you understand ISO, aperture, and speed, you should be able to deal with everything. And always use the histogram. If you have the histogram, you can always expose correctly, because it says there on the histogram. It's so simple. Histogram tripod, so it, just figure it out. It's easy. And then of course, we are doing photo tours to those caves, and we do help you to get the best pictures possible in those workshops. I do recommend it. They are great fun. So that's that. Thank you for watching. Like I said, consider subscribing and share my videos. It does help me if you want to support my channel by sharing my stuff and spreading the word. Thank you for watching and goodbye.